we're in section 7.4, solving multiplication and division equations. Good news with this is I use basically the same methodology that I did yesterday. Inverse operations. So when it was subtraction, I added to get it to cancel, right? And if it was addition, I would subtract. So in example 1, I have what operation connected to my variable? What operation is connected to my variable? Here. But what operation? Am I multiplying, dividing? I'm multiplying. So the opposite of multiplication is division, and I divide by whatever number is connected to my variable. So what would I divide by? 4, and whatever I do to one side, I do the same thing to the other. X is 15. So we can check it by plugging 15 back into the original equation. 4 times 15, yes, is 60. All right, if you haven't already, I want you to go ahead and solve the second one. Solve for x. We divide both sides by 2. X is 28. Who got 28? Awesome. And then we check it, guys. Plug 28 back in, and yes, they equal out. All right, now we're going to get a little more complicated with this. Now what's connected to my variable? A negative. A negative. I can't leave my variable negative. Whatever is connected to the variable, that's what I have to divide by. Both sides. All right, tell me what the answer is. What's my answer? 21. Negative 21. Now, how do I check it? I plug it back in. What's negative 3 times negative 21? 62. Positive 63. 2 negatives. All right. What about the last one, though? Isn't that my answer? X is by itself, or is it? What do I have to get rid of?
The negative.
The negative. And I know that there's an understood what in front of the X? 1. A 1. So what would I divide by? Write it on your paper. What do I divide by?
1.
Not 1, but negative 1.
Yes.
X is negative 15.5. Okay, on your homework tonight, you're going to be asked to check your solutions for these. Just make sure you plug it back in for the in where the variable is in the original equation. All right, now let's do what operation is connected to the variable now? Division. What's the opposite of division? Multiplication. And I multiply by whatever number is in my denominator. So, in the first one, what would I multiply by?
6.
Both sides by 6. Because don't you agree that the 6 is cross-reduced?
Yes.
And all I have is x? So, x is 72. Right? Because I multiply both sides by whatever number is in my denominator. Then we check it by plugging it back in where x is in the original. And yeah, 72 divided by 6 is 12. I want you to solve the second one. Multiply both sides by?
14 or 12.
Nope.
14.
What's in the denominator?
12.
12. Multiply by 12 both sides because that's how I get b by itself. Even though it's on the other side, that doesn't matter. I have to get rid of my denominators. 14 times 12. 168. Did you get it? Did you get 168?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, and then when I check it, same thing. 168 divided by 12, yes, it's 14. Okay. All right, now they're going to look a little different in the next slide, but it's still the same process. I want you to try to figure out what the answers are going to be. We still have to get our variable by itself, so we need to figure out what we're multiplying. First one, what do I multiply both sides by?
5.5.
Nope. Negative 5.5, both sides. Guys, yeah, this might be hard if you weren't allowed to use your calculator. I mean, my thumbs really hurt after I put in negative 36 times, parentheses, negative 5.5. Ooh, that was real hard. What's my answer? 198. Okay, now we check it. No big deal. Yeah, it is negative 36. So it checks out. What do I multiply both sides by on the second one? 3, both sides. Did you get 1.2?
Yes.
1 and 2 tenths? Okay. Holden, why don't you move up a desk, please? Thank you. All right. Example 3. Example 3. More fractions, except now I actually have a full fraction. Top and bottom numerators and top and bottom the variables next to it. So let me ask you this. My goal is still to get the variable by itself, so how could I get 3/4 to reduce down to 1? Multiply it by what? 4/3. The reciprocal. I just flipped the fraction. Multiply it by 4/3. Do you agree? Now everything cross-reduces? Yeah. Okay, so I'm good. But remember, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. I want you to find the answer. Okay, so what did you get? You cross-reduce. What's your answer? 16. Now, when we plug it back in to check, it's a little more involved, yeah, but you just cross-reduce, and yes, 12 equals 12. I want you to solve the second one. Solve the second one. What do you have to multiply both sides by to get n by itself? And then what is your answer? I want you to leave it in improper fraction. Leave the answer improper. What do you multiply both sides by? Negative 10 over 3. Did you get that? Because we're flipping the fraction. So multiply the other side by negative 10 over 3. What's negative 5 times negative 10? 50 over 3. 50 over 3. That's wrong. Negative times a negative. Leave it improper, and here's why. Because when you plug it back into the answer to check it, you go negative 3/10 times 50 over 3, and now you can cross-reduce. I want you to cross-reduce and check the rest of your solution. Do both sides equal each other? We need to make sure our answer is correct. So 10 and 50 cross-reduce, right? 1 and 5. What about 3 and negative 3? Well, 3 reduces to 1, but negative 3 reduces to negative 1. So negative 5 does equal negative 5. Okay, don't forget, if you're cross-reducing a negative, you've got to leave it a negative. Example 4. Translate the verbal sentence. Twice a number is equal to negative 100. Twice a number is equal to negative 100, and then solve. Write it.
2x.
Yep. And you can say 2n. That would be fine. Divide both sides by 2. X is negative 50. Or n is negative 50. Either one. What about the quotient of a number and negative 2 is 10? Write it as a fraction and solve. Anytime you're doing quotient on these, you want to write it as a fraction so you can solve it just like we did in example 3. Did you write x over negative 2 equals 10?
I did 2.
Okay, I guess that works. Multiply both sides by negative 2. Did you get negative 20?
Yes.
There you go, negative 20. All right, one more example. Example 5 is a word problem. Okay, remember what I told you yesterday. What is the total? Okay, that goes on one side of the equation. Then figure out what you know and how you connect it to the variable. Is it addition, subtraction, multiplication, division? I want you to try to put together this equation. You have to have an equation with a variable, and then you solve. Okay? I want you to try. My phone call was 20 minutes long. That goes on one side of the equation. I know that I paid $2 a minute, but I don't know how many minutes. So 2 times however many minutes gives me my 20-minute phone call. What do I divide both sides by? 10-minute long phone call.
Oh, I got it right.
See, there you go. But guys, you're not going to get credit on your homework unless you have an equation that has a variable. Okay? So just to say 10 minutes, you're not going to get credit on your homework for that. I have to see an equation. All right, if you understand that, that's everything you need to know for 7.4. 7.4. Last lesson before midterms.